recorded live at 4ZZZ Studios and broadcast across Brisbane on 102.1 FM.
You're listening to Z Games, where we bring you the best in gaming news, reviews, community, and culture.
Want to get in touch? Text in on 0420 626 733.
Hello, you're listening to Z Games. My name is Evie, and I'm here with Rani
Yes.
and Koch.
Yo, what up?
Cool, that's us. Hope you're doing good out there.
Just 3 of us today.
Just the 3 of us. I know, so intimate.
An upgrade from last week. It's a 50% increase.
Yes,
Oh my
So we
goodness.
only had 2 of us here yesterday.
and only
Last
33.3% reoccurring of male possession in the room.
It's still fine.
That was a number and I don't even think I heard it.
It's too many being repeated. Just when you repeat forever,
reoccurring.
it's just terrible.
That's right. So, today on the show is a special episode
Woohoo.
because we're going to be talking predominantly about gaming music, which is pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
We're not just going to be talking about games like we usually do. We're going to be talking about game music specifically. So you're going to hear some pretty sick beats.
I mean, that's what we do here. We are a radio kind of show, aren't we? We have like gaming music throughout, but more just discussing, I guess, the effect that it has and I guess what certain special games that you guys have been loving the music of.
Yeah. I think probably 90% of the time my choice of game that I play is based solely on the soundtrack.
That's a good way to be, I think. I think it's really powerful.
It's not uncommon either. I mean, some of the best games have the best soundtracks as well. Like if you think about Mario Kart and how nostalgic that is, everyone knows the sounds of that game. Crash Bandicoot, so many of them.
Yeah.
And everyone has a game that maybe is special to them, and then they'd hear that maybe, depending on how old you are, you might hear the 8-bit track and go, oh my gosh, Space Invaders or...
Tetris.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not that old, guys.
Okay, well...
Well, that's a first world problem if I ever heard one.
Listening to Skyrim. So...
Oh, yes, the retro track of Skyrim.
retro track.
God, it's been so long.
It's been a while.
Look, I nearly picked that to talk about today.
You should have. It's an incredible score, actually.
Maybe next week.
Maybe.
I
Good
just was
time.
more familiar with this other album.
We'll be sticking around, so
Yeah.
you've got plenty of time.
Yeah.
It's almost like we're here every week.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, we are.
Never leaving.
In the meantime,
Oh.
sleeping on the floor, just casually in the corner.
Yeah, we never actually leave the studio.
This
we
is
live here
our
now.
house, yeah.
We've been here so long that we're actually ingrained in the woodwork.
Yeah. Have to chip me away to get me to
That
go
makes
anywhere else.
so much more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So tonight we're gonna catch up with some gaming news, and then Rani is going to talk about the music from Child of Light.
Oh, yes.
I'm going to then talk about Horizon Zero Dawn.
Mm-hmm.
And then Koch is going to bring us home with some chit-chat about some music that he likes.
Just music in general.
Just music in general, I suppose.
I think Kosh is going to take us on a bit of a nostalgia trip.
Probably.
Yeah.
It's the best ones.
I'm
It's the
ready.
memory evoking sounds of OSTs.
Are you going to make me cry? Like,
I hope
is
not.
That
No,
what's gonna
it's not.
happen?
It's not a repressed memory
Okay.
session. It's okay, but it's a memory session.
Some
Let's
sort
go.
of like hypnotherapy going on. Yeah.
So look back, close your eyes, and
Do you remember when you were playing this game and your parents were screaming? No? Okay, never mind.
Oh, that meme about the Wii.
I don't know. Anyway, on that note, let's listen to some news. This week in gaming news, the National Film and Sound Archive of Australia has announced at the opening of Game Masters exhibition in Canberra that it will start preserving video games, starting with The Hobbit, Halloween Harry, Shadowrun, LA Noire, Submerged, Hollow Knight, Florence, and finally Aspire 1 VR Operative. Jan Muller, CEO of the NFSA, said, "Today, we welcome video games into our collection of more than 3 million items. The collection represents the cultural diversity and breadth of experience of all Australians, and it is constantly evolving, just like our creative industries." Sony has filed a new patent for an AI-powered voice assistant called PlayStation Assist. According to Daniel Ahmed, a games analyst, said, "You can input a query and then the game will dynamically respond, meaning that players will be able to ask, 'Hey PlayStation, where is the nearest health pack?' and the AI assistant will place a marker on the map in your game." Sony describes this feature as a method for gaming assistance. It's certainly looking positive for Sony. Hopefully this patent pulls through and we can expect to see this digital AI in the future. Borderlands 3 sets record as 2K's fastest selling game ever. Borderlands 3 was voted most wanted game at Gamescom early in the year, and fans were more than excited about its release. Borderlands 3 has sold over 5 million copies in just 2 days after its launch. This record smashed previous ones held by Borderlands 2. The game has also taken over the Twitch landscape since release, which is no doubt due to Gearbox's work on developing the EchoCast Twitch extension. This game has already generated over 14 million hours of content on the site. That figure is already over half of the total amount generated by Borderlands 2 in the last 7 years. Atari partners with Antstream Arcade for Atari's retro games. Antstream was successfully funded on Kickstarter back in May, with the intention of creating a platform for players to access thousands of officially licensed retro games. Antstream follows a subscription model, and for the launch, plans on making over 2,000 Atari VCS games available. Atari intend on starting with 50 games. Some of them are Pong, Adventure, Night Driver, Tempest 2000, and Yar's Revenge. These will be exclusive on the VCS version of Antstream Arcade. Some of these games will be modified for playability. However, for those worried about preservation, the unmodified versions will also be kept and made available. That's all this week in gaming news.
What a fascinating week in gaming news.
Is that what happened?
Yes.
I'm glad we talked about Borderlands 3 last week, and then it was that good that it now made the news this week.
Yes.
Just keep it rolling on. It's great.
Convenient. We are predicting the future here at Zed Games.
Yes.
Are we?
Apparently.
Oh man, I wasn't even here last week, so
That's how good your
That's
that's how
you
good
weren't
your
here
psychic
last
abilities.
week because you knew you would be
Yeah.
here this week.
exactly.
See, predicting the future.
Yep.
You knew it. It's called.
It's not
called
it's not a
time
schedule.
management.
Yeah, it's not a schedule or anything. It's
Or like
psychic
foresight or anything
abilities.
like that. Yeah, it's magic, guys.
I forgot
Magic.
that I need to give a shout out to my mum who's listening this afternoon. So, hi, Mum. I hope you enjoy the show.
Oh, isn't that
yes.
lovely?
Cute.
Yes.
Hi, Evie's ma'am.
Yes, hi Evie's mum.
Anywho,
Moving on. That's also news.
that's also
Yes,
I
yeah.
thought it was really interesting with the Antstream Arcade though, streaming all those games. Like there have been other avenues to stream old and timey games, like from the retro and Atari era. Even like web archival services as well.
yes.
They had like a online archive for video games that you could play in DOS, like
Yeah.
in the browser. Completely well, I think it was legitimate.
I don't know.
Or they
I
never got
also think it was
official.
legitimate.
Yeah,
But yeah,
Quickly
like
Google
I
that.
don't think it was ever licensed
maybe not licensed. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was just kind of
because then we
ROMs
would
and
have paid
stuff.
for it.
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea. They're doing it for archival reasons rather
Yeah.
because maybe it like went past their licensing. I have to look it up.
It'd be a whole copy.
You're talking about the National Film and Sound Archive, yeah?
Yeah, where you can like sort through like you can play like Street Fighter 2
Yeah.
on your browser with like mouse and keyboard keys and stuff like that.
No, but I mean, like, you're talking about how we have Australian games that are being preserved now.
Yeah,
Yes,
That's
it's
exciting.
great.
yeah, it's awesome.
It is exciting.
I'm excited. I don't
Was it-
sound it, but I am. It's like,
You look
I
it.
genuinely am excited about
Yeah.
it.
Like ready to jump out of your seat. You're
It's
so
interesting.
excited.
It's interesting because during class in my first trimester of studying game design, they talked about how games don't typically have the same treatment as, say, any other creative industry, such as music or film, for example, because the films have the cans or wherever it is that they have that massive archive where they
A
store
couple of
films.
different ones. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
like a Trove type thing, and I mean there's just Trove in general, which is the massive database online for Australian anything.
Yeah,
really.
yeah. And there's also like music. Storing music is like very much something that's been around for a long time. Preserving them,
But
But
those
we've never really had anything for video games. You know, and also video games are really hard to preserve because software is not.
well, it's an interactive medium, and then also like I mean, you could have videos
But it
of
degrades very rapidly.
I mean,
as well.
true. But
so
like-
it's hard to preserve.
the medium in general is very young comparatively. Like movies have been around for 100 or so years.
Yeah,
give or take.
it's a long,
Yeah,
long
about that.
time.
Music
yeah.
has been around for well,
Centuries.
literally ever, pretty much. Like
Yeah.
you bang it 2 stones together, you're making music. So
I have.
That's me
you know,
making music.
written
Yeah.
sheet music
Literally
that
me.
I play from.
just screaming into the void. That's music apparently to somebody.
It is.
Yeah.
Someone would listen
The
to that.
northern warbles
Not
of,
me.
of Koshi.
I'll just leave the studio.
Yeah.
I don't mind.
That's why you play other people's songs for a
Yeah.
good reason. But yeah, like video games are so young as an art form or a media that like, or a medium. Medium?
A medium.
Medium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a good word. Thanks, English
Media as
major.
well, but
Yeah.
both work.
But there's no real chance to archive them because, well, there hasn't been that much comparatively to any other.
Yeah. No, we're only just sort of reaching a point where we're like, oh, there are games we want to archive, or there are games that we want the younger generations to still be able to play.
Yeah.
And I mean, you see it as well with specific websites, because they're also an interactive medium and form of media. That there are entire websites that they're still there, but they're not kept up with. They're just not maintained. And you can still go see them.
Have you seen the original Space Jam website? You know the movie Space Jam?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, I don't know, it was
Is
in
it
the
still
90s.
is that it
It's
right
literally
there, Koshi? Oh my
it has
God.
not been changed since its release.
It's beautiful.
and it's so clean, and you can go to like all the different central places, and it's just like
That's actually a really
It's just
nice
basic.
How nostalgic is that?
interface
Yeah.
too. Like, it's so easy to make your way around.
there's no
Don't you know
ads,
that,
there's no
like, fashion
pop-ups,
goes back
there's no
around?
subscribed lists. It's just a website with info. It's great.
But
I'm not bitter.
I mean, that whole, like, as well, the idea of like haunted media too, which we looked at in my first week of class this semester. Just like, there are people that go into video games that haven't been sort of maintained in many years. Nobody plays them anymore, and they go in and they're supposedly haunted. Like, sometimes they run into
That's
other players.
really cool.
Yeah,
I have a story about that, but I'll have to share that another time.
absolutely. I'm ready.
Oh, you're ready?
Yep.
I'm definitely ready.
Ready to talk about Child of Light?
I
Yeah,
am ready to
Child
talk
of
about
Light.
Child of Light. Okay, so you know how I said that a lot of the time I pick games based on their soundtrack?
Mm-hmm.
Child of Light was one of those. It was also the art style, because I'm a bit of a hoe for that, but whatever. But for anybody that doesn't know, Evie might not know, my background's in music, so I really like to nerd out about consistency in music and game soundtracks that have that, and running themes and motifs, and Child of Light does that, and it's so great. So Child of Light's a platformer, and the music is written by I can't say it. You're gonna have to say it, Evie.
Oh, Cœur de Pirates?
Yeah.
Yeah. Pirate's Heart.
yeah.
It's French. Yes.
So she's like a Canadian pop star. She's super popular over there, and most of her like top songs are all in French for just what people like. But she,
Especially in France.
yeah. Well, no, she's in Canada, so it'd
well,
be
that's not
yeah.
uncommon either, I suppose.
Yeah. So she did the entire soundtrack for Child of Light, and it is beautiful and constant. The movement in the music is constant. We're gonna listen to some of it later.
Yes. Straight after this, we'll be listening to it.
Yeah. So it starts off with Pilgrims on a Long Journey, which is what we're gonna have a listen to, and it sort of starts really thin and dreamlike, and then it builds and it keeps building, and it goes through these periods of acceleration and deceleration, which is rubato in music, but that constant flowing sort of keeps throughout the different tracks in the soundtrack. So when you listen to it all in one go, or when you're playing, you almost don't notice that you've changed to a completely different track. If you listen
So
to
it's quite seamless.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
If you listen to the album itself, you can sort of obviously tell when it's different tracks. But the way it goes, there's Aurora's theme, and there's Pilgrims on a Long Journey, and both of those sort of play while you're just making your way through the map. And it wholeheartedly depends on how quickly you're going as to which which song you're listening to. And then the boss music is super intense, and it's very... there's no words. There's one song in the whole soundtrack that has words, and I believe it's actually only played over the credits, which I personally really like, but it lends itself to that idea of world building and mood building, and it uses a lot of strings and a lot of piano, but it also brings in a certain amount of brass, which is really, really cool.
Because it sounds quite classical, right? It sort of takes a lot of that contemporary genre of music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I find that, so most of the movement that you're actually going to hear in the tracks, so Pilgrims on a Long Journey is only a piano, a violin, and a cello. And I know this because I had to transcribe the violin and cello part for a performance where I was playing the piano. Most of the movement that you're going to hear comes from the piano, and everything else is going to be texture. So the violin and the cello are there to give you that sense of this fantasy sort of world. And they're just kind of sprinkled over the top. They have movement themselves, but they balance really nicely because the violin's up super high, the cello's down super low, and then the piano's just in the middle of it.
So everything sits nicely in the layer. Yeah.
Yep. And then in the other tracks, that super heavy texture that you're going to get is going to come from the brass, and occasionally they have the movement, and that's more so going to be where you're in like boss battles or just battles in general.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So do you notice the shift when you get into the boss battle side?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, because there's a lot of games, not to take away from Child of Light, but there's a lot of games where you know you're in a boss battle. Like, you walk into an area, I guess Dark Souls is a really good example, where it's just like, the music changes and then the dragon or whatever just rises out of this, cavern. You're like,
Dun, dun,
yeah.
dun.
You're like, oh no.
This ominous music plays and like it just reaches this like crescendo type.
Yeah.
And
So
it's like,
as you're getting through, it has puzzles as well. So as you're getting through the sort of levels and the puzzles and stuff, and you move up, there is a subtle change in the music, and then as soon as you enter a battle, you know immediately what's going on, and you're just like, okay. And there are sort of two different really intense battle tracks.
I know, because when I was listening to some of the track, the boss battle was quite so intense compared to the Pilgrims on a Long Journey, which is what we're going to listen to. And that's because one of them is at the beginning and the other one is at the end of the spectrum. So I went from really this beautiful setting the scene kind of music to this epitone. I was just like, whoa, I went from one extreme to the next. So it's amazing.
That's the first thing you hear.
It's stunning. Absolutely stunning.
I guess it really
also-
opens like you up to the world and that of the game.
It's also the track they used on the trailer.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so if you want to know a little bit about the game, it came out in 2014, and you can get it on almost any platform that you want it on.
It's literally, I mean, from Ubisoft.
Yeah.
So everywhere.
But it's also on Steam, PlayStation 4, Switch, PlayStation 3, Xbox One, 360, Wii U.
Can even get it on a microwave. No, I'm kidding.
It'll at least load the starting screen a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
Will it play the music?
And out for the Vita boys out there as well. You can get it on Vita.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
But yeah, so I was just kind of walking you guys through bits of it as it was playing, but that sort of bottom part in the piano, that's that movement that you're going to hear throughout the soundtrack. So that's sort of where you know that it's at. And it's super simple. It's just on the beat every single time, but it's constant. And that's how you know that it's this perpetual motion that is happening. And then, of course, there's that little melody that plays over the top in the top hand of the piano. But I love how that the song kind of seamlessly transitions between where the real melody is, and it passes it from instrument to instrument. Like, you would have heard that the cello picks it up for a little bit closer to the end there in that second half, and it gets really intense, and the texture just flows beautifully, and it fits in really well with the gameplay. Because if you're watching it, Aurora's hair just like, it's like she's underwater. It just flows behind her.
And that kind of goes with the music as well. Like, while listening there, it was very flowy. I guess. I don't know. I don't really know. I'm not a music person. Like, I like music, but I'm like, describe why you like that. And I'm like,
it just makes
I like it.
sound.
It makes
gives-
the sound goods.
It makes the sound good. I don't feel bad when I listen to
Yeah,
it.
just like electro swing. Why do you like it? I feel good.
You'd be surprised the amount of people that the backlash electro swing gets
Yeah, I hate
as a
them.
genre of music, because electro swing is my soul.
Yeah, it's so good.
Look,
We
lots of
bonded
genres.
over this. It's good.
Lots
Yeah.
of genres get backlash just for anything. Like, look
This
at all
is
the
true.
backlash that just pop gets,
Mm.
and I'm like, but it's
But it
fun
makes
music,
money.
man.
No,
Yeah,
I think it's more the scene that gets the backlash
Yeah.
than the. But yes,
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing about
No worries.
Child of Light. Yeah.
all
very
them
nice.
tracks.
Yeah, all them tracks. It's a music
love-
episode today.
Video game music.
Yeah.
It's
we're
so
just,
good.
We're just focusing on some really, really nice stuff.
It's just a combination, like, because just I mean, the music in movies, I guess, is nice as well, but I never really get that feeling behind movies and
Yeah,
the music
okay.
behind that.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
it's meant to evoke emotion.
Yeah.
And things like that. Like, oh, this is a sad scene, so of course there's a soft piano in the background.
It's
Yeah.
cinematic.
It's cinematic. Awesome. I know words.
Do you ever hear the music from a video game that you've been playing out in the wild, outside of the context of you playing that video game, and it's just it brings you flashbacks? Like, I was just now remembering, every time I hear the Undertale soundtrack, I think I want to throw a chair.
Just because.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that soundtrack is chaotic
Yeah.
as all hell. And it's brilliant. It
Yeah, yeah.
really is. But, like, lots of video game music, I think, really does sort of reintroduce those emotions into your life when you hear them outside of the context of the video game, because they're so heavily linked to whatever you were feeling at that time.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I
so
get
like
what you're saying.
you hear a music and then
You're
like
like, oh my
outside
God.
and you're like it links you back to when you were playing the game.
All
Yeah.
the stress you
And you're
were
like,
Yeah,
I just
exactly.
died 32 times to this boss. Right, I get it. Okay, that makes sense.
Like, anytime I hear the Undertale soundtrack now, because that game, I cannot, right? Like, I'm stuck.
Yeah,
I want to cry.
More
because I'm like,
Megalovania.
I can't.
yeah. No, I get that.
Speaking of soundtracks that provoke emotional responses,
Good segue.
I'm going. I'm going to talk about Horizon Zero Dawn and some of and their score essentially.
Which is also another beautiful soundtrack.
Yes.
Oh my god, stunning. Basically, to give you a bit of a rundown, Horizon Zero Dawn is an action role-playing game on the platform PlayStation 4, published by Sony and developed by Guerrilla Games, and was released in early 2017. The plot follows Aloy, who is a hunter born into a world overrun by machines. She sets out to uncover her past as well as the fate of humanity before her time. As she discovers more about herself and the world around her, she is set upon a mission to save humanity from insurmountable odds. Joris Deman, The Flight, and Lucas Van Tol, who compose the masterful pieces of music for this extraordinary world, discuss in a Gamma Sutra interview, about some of the difficulties faced during production, as well as points of inspiration for this stone-aged science fiction game. Joris discusses how it was challenging to couple two different concepts together for Horizon Zero Dawn, and that it took a fair bit of time to get it right. The audio team had various descriptions to work with, such as individual tribes and regions of the world, not to mention the types of materials and technology that was all-encompassing this post-apocalyptic Earth. The Flight discuss about how they envisioned the sound of the score. They tried imagining someone playing contemporary instruments that they had never seen, so they experimented by playing instruments in strange ways. For example, bowing resonator guitars or layering up tracks of harmonicas into an orchestra. The big pieces of inspiration for the team was concept art, themes that the designers were using to guide the vision of the game. There's something very powerful about this composition of music in Horizon Zero Dawn that just takes this game to a whole new level. For each new experience in Aloy's world, the sound effects and music elevate the emotions of your character, as well as the player as you're experiencing it. It is honestly a masterpiece. With 80 individual tracks composed over 7 years, there is no doubt that the designers and the music production team have done a breathtaking job of bringing this universe to light without overtaking the experience of the game itself, and subtly adding emotion to the landscapes that you encounter as you play through this open world journey. The score has so many metallic, mechanical, and tribal elements that really depict what the game is and expresses very clearly the science fiction dystopian world that you're a part of as the player. So that's my
little
summary.
spiel.
Little review.
Yeah, a little spiel on that.
I think
Yep.
it was as you said, like it really had that biomechanical feel. Like it had like the tribal kind of beats in there,
But also metallic.
but then it had
and,
like
yeah.
some, I don't know, like synthy type, I don't know.
Kind of makes me think of Transformers a little bit sometimes.
Yeah. It had like lasers, like it was like pew, pew, pew. Like,
Yeah.
but then it all had, it
Do
was
that
weird.
again, Koch?
Pew, pew, pew.
Fantastic. We're going to make that.
It's a sound
definitely
effect.
sting.
Yep. You're going to hear that again.
Freaking lasers,
sometime.
man.
That one.
I really enjoyed that last one as well.
Yes. I liked her.
I'm ready for
Broken
bed now, though.
You're ready for bed? Well, just quickly, Kosh, let's talk about some nostalgic stuff.
Yeah, because we've been talking about, well, I guess this has been recent gaming as well, but
Yeah.
we put out in the old tweeters and such people's different nostalgic video game tracks, and going back, like everyone knows, like the Pokemon theme song.
Yep.
Everyone knows. Well, for me anyway, I really knew the Final Fantasy intro, like the scales, like do-do-do-do-do-do, like all of that stuff. It just was really, really nostalgic to me. It really brought back memories of when I was playing those games.
Mm-hmm.
So I was saying before, like, even like listening to a theme song, you said outside,
Yeah.
you know, of like the game, and it brought you back in. I was like, well, I heard, you know, that, or you go and replay a game and you hear that soundtrack, and then you
yeah.
remember back to the first time you played it, or like the time you
Yes.
played it back then. You're like, oh, now I have memories of when I was like, you know, 16,
And it transports you across
Yeah.
time and space. Music's like that, hey.
yeah.
Yep.
But it's just one of those things that we had a few suggestions of like the best soundtracks and things like that. Super Mario opening,
Yeah. I mean, that's iconic, though.
yeah, it's just one of those
Everyone
things.
knows it.
Yeah, but you know, having, I don't know, famous music like that.
Sorry.
See what I
talking about-
mean?
yeah.
Like, you say Mario and everybody can sing that.
You say
Yeah.
Mario, I say Luigi. No, I'm sorry.
Wow, Luigi.
Wow, wow, nice. All right, we're in sync.
Yeah, we seem to be in sync today, like all of us. It's
Yeah.
great.
It's great.
Channeling the vibes.
What else we had? We had the Pokemon Red and Blue battle
Yep.
music,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes!
which is always good.
And also extremely repetitive as a child. Like
Yeah.
at a point, to the point where you're like, stop.
Yeah, you kind of just turn it down, but then you miss it, and then
Yeah.
you bring it back up because the carts only were like, they're so small, you couldn't really put much on them.
Dun,
Yeah.
dun, 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 dun. I'm like, oh my god.
We had the Metal Gear theme, which I haven't really heard for a while.
Yeah.
With the acoustic variant of Snake Eater, which I thought was pretty
yeah.
cool. I haven't heard it for a long, long time. So, but I've never been a Metal Gear fan. Like
Yeah,
I've never
that's
played
fair.
through the series. But like listening to it, I was listening to it while we were off air, and I was like, yeah, I can understand why like people would be remembering it,
Remembering.
remembering.
Remember?
I remember. What else
I
do we
mean,
have?
Legend of Zelda.
Oh, well, of course.
Always. Always.
Just-
You're
I
always
think-
going to know that.
Maybe it's just Nintendo.
That's
Yeah.
Maybe just Nintendo
actually.
knows how to do music.
The Japanese,
If you've
man.
got any nostalgic songs that you can think of from
Let
a
us
video
know.
game, please text in on 0420 626 733 because we'd like to know.
In a couple of minutes.
You've only got a couple of minutes, so
Be quick.
don't drive and text, please.
We had the Halo theme song though as well for more
Oh,
recent
yeah.
stuff,
Yes.
like
Oh,
the
yeah.
orchestral, like
yes.
male kind of choir. I always thought that was very like anytime. I don't know if this is just me, but anytime I was in an echoey chamber
Yep.
or any kind of
You think of
stairs.
Halo?
No, I just do it. I'm like, there's no one around, right? And I just like start doing the thing just to feel it like
what, you're not gonna do it
reverberate.
right now?
No, I'm not doing that live on air. No, thank you.
Well,
But I think that was always fun.
we are running out of time here. So, in the light of remembrance,
Oh, nice.
I think we should end on Final Fantasy's 14 song Remembrance. My name's
see what
Evie.
you
Thanks for
did there.
listening today.
Yeah.
Or tonight, wherever the hell you are.
Yeah.
And
Morning, noon, or night.
bye from Rani and Koch as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, play some music.
I'm going to play some music and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.